Hello, everybody. This is Tim here again. Here another movie review. This time for the new Scream and also the entire Scream franchise. I reviewed the Scream movies back in separate videos. I even did a re-review for Scream Part One, Scream Part Two. I decided to rewatch the whole franchise leading up to this new one, which is pretty much called Scream as well, but it's also pretty much Scream Five. As far as the franchise goes, what rewatching them now, how would I rank them out? I'd say one is a masterpiece. At this point, I think it's Wes Craven's best film. With Nightmare on Elm Street, the original, slightly behind it, but not by much. Um, After Scream Part 1, I would have to say my personal second favorite is Scream 4. I think it's a great sequel and feels the most fresh and original after the first film because it's the one that can really stand on its own and not really be like kind of carried on after the first one or feel like it's has to be weighed down by the greatness of the first one because it's more of a standalone story, I guess. Um, and I like the brutality in Scream 4. After Scream 1 and 4, for me personally, I actually like Scream 3. Now, just to give my ratings, I'd give a 4 out of 4 for the first Scream, a 4 out of 4 for Scream 4, which I'd put in number 2 spot, and I'd give a 3 out of 4 for Scream 3 at number 3. It's a worse script than Scream 2, but I find it more entertaining than Scream 2 overall because it feels more fresh with the Hollywood setting and all that. The characters are the most expendable, though, out of the first four, I would say. But I just find the whole Hollywood setting and stuff just more fun. Nev Campbell's not in a whole lot of Scream 3, and she's actually not in a whole lot of Scream 5, but yeah, Scream 3, I just find it really fun with the whole Hollywood setting and how the killer like uses different people's voices. Yeah, it's not like believable, but it's a Scream movie. I can give it some leeway. It's kind of fun. After Scream 3, I would have to say Scream 2, which is better written than Scream 3. But I think where Scream 2 kind of falters for me a little bit more is because it comes directly after the first one. So none of the Scream sequels are as good as that first film. So it feels like more the biggest come down after that original film to me. And also I just feel like the cast in it. I feel like the overall movie itself just feels too much like a lesser, fresher take of the first one, kind of. But yeah, I'd still give Scream 2 a 3 out of 4. None of these Scream movies are bad. This is the most consistent horror franchise of all time in terms of quality. No, there's no bad film in this franchise, in my opinion. Just ones that aren't as good. But yeah, so I'd give Scream 1 at number 1, 4 out of 4. Scream 4 at number 2, a 4 out of 4 as well. Those are both great to me. Even though the first one is a masterpiece and none of the other ones are as good. Scream 3 would take the third spot at 3 out of 4, and then Scream 2 would take the fourth spot at 3 out of 4. Yeah, overall, I enjoy all four of these Scream movies. Now, for Scream 5, what would I give it from 1 to 4? I'll go ahead and say it from 1 to 4. I'd give it a 3 out of 4. It's a good one. I liked it. It's not as good as the early critic reviews or early reactions or whatever on Twitter hyped it up to be, but it is good. It's very entertaining. It is flawed. It's not the best written of the series, or not the best put together, I would say, for some of it. The climax of the movie is really fun, though. It takes place in Matthew Lillard's old house from the original film, which kind of makes it seem like he might be the killer in this, because that was the big rumor going into this one. And I think that is something they'll probably end up doing for Scream 6 or 7, because this is doing really good in the box office, so we're going to get another one. But yeah, we got this girl who gets brought back to town because her sister gets attacked at the beginning, and the girl who plays her sister is supposed to be the opening kill, actually survives. So I thought it was kind of interesting, but at the same time, why did she live? But later on, they kind of explain it because the killer wasn't actually trying to kill her. He just wanted to injure her so the other sister would have to come back to town, who we find out is actually Billy Loomis's daughter from a girl he slept with back in the day. Um, and the girl who plays the sister, the younger sister who like gets attacked at the beginning, I think her name's like the actress's name, maybe Jenny Ortega. I may be wrong, but her acting is good. She's probably the best actor in the film, acting wise. Not counting like Nev Campbell, Never Kent stuff performance wise, but she's probably the best actor of the new cast. That's one weakness of this movie. The new cast is just kind of there. Most of them are just kind of not really that interesting or good, but they're okay. They're just kind of fodder for the kills. They're not really that memorable. Like, you got these two twins who are like supposed to be like the daughters of Randy's sister, I believe. Um, and they're there and they don't really do much of anything. Like, the new girl who tries to be like a Randy replacement, she's not as good at all. Doesn't have the charisma of Jamie Kennedy whatsoever. And then the boy, who's the brother, I believe he gets killed at the end pretty much. He gets like stabbed to death out in the middle of the sidewalk. But at the end of the movie, when the sister survives, but when they're like, I mean the Jamie Kennedy, like his sister's daughter or whatever, she survives, but her brother, I believe, gets killed. But when they're wheeling her out at the end of the movie to take her away to the hospital, she's like giving a thumbs up to somebody in the back of an ambulance. I don't know if the brother actually survived or if he was meant to be dead at the end of the movie. I'm not for sure. I'm pretty sure he was meant to be dead because he got cut the hell up. But yeah, the girl comes to town, Billy Loomis's daughter, and you got these scenes where she keeps like she's got like mental problems because Billy Loomis is her father, and she keeps seeing him and imagining what like he would want her to do in this situation. Like he's like guiding her through the movie about how to survive and all that. It's kind of an interesting idea, but at the same time, it takes me out of it because whenever you see Skeet Ulrich, who's back in this movie, his face is like CGI'd and to make him look younger, like he looked in Scream 1. It is distracting. I don't really think you needed it ultimately by the end of the movie, even though it wasn't really bad. It didn't really destroy the movie or nothing. I just don't think you really needed it. One thing I will say is that this movie makes fun of requels, which is pretty much the soft reboot thing they do in universes, kind of like what they did pretty much with Bride of Chucky, which they changed the course of the franchise and took it to more of a horror comedy approach. And they're also doing it now with the new Halloween 2018, where they brought back Jamie Lee Curtis, but it's a sequel only directly to the first film. And they did with Star Wars The Force Awakens, where they're bringing the franchise back to the original trilogy style. And yeah, they make fun of the fact that this is pretty much what this is in the movie, which is why it's called Scream instead of Scream 5. And the movie's directed by the Ready or Not guys. I'll say this, the directing in the movie is really good. It picks up really a lot towards the climax of the movie, which takes place in the house, from the original. But the directing for the first half of the movie is not as solid as Wes Craven. Like his directing was more sharp and better overall in those other 4 Scream movies than what these guys do here. But their directing is not bad. They still do a really good job with some really good like scenes and stuff like that and everything put together here overall. And the script here is good. And the girl has her boyfriend with her, and the new characters, like I said, just aren't that interesting. David Arquette's Dewey character and Courtney Cox are divorced, and they bring back the sheriff Judy, the blonde-haired chick from the last film, but she's not together with Dewey, which I thought was weird because she obviously had a crush on him in Scream 4, but she's not together with Dewey in this one, which you would think he would get with her after he divorced Gail. But I guess the whole thing is that Gail is his one true love, and they wanted to keep it kind of sentimental, so that's why he wouldn't really ever get with another woman, which is kind of a little bit unbelievable, but it works in this movie, I will say. And David Arquette's pretty much, when he gets introduced as like this old, like disgruntled survivor or whatever who joins the kids and really helps them out, he's pretty much taken command of the movie for the first like half of the movie, really. He really holds his own and does a great job here. And of course, this is going to be filled with spoilers. All my reviews are. When it gets to the scene at the hospital or wherever, the killer's there with her sister and he's going to like take her out. And Dewey shows up there to help him, and he gets in a fight with the killer, and he kind of kicks the killer's ass, and he guns him down, and he takes off, and they're getting ready to leave, and Dewey can get away, but he decides to stay to make sure absolutely that the killer is dead, and that's what causes him to get killed, because he gets distracted by his phone, and the killer jumps up and shanks him in a really brutal kill, but it was really raised the stakes, though, and I really did feel like they needed to kill off one of the main 3 characters. They really needed to do it in Scream 4, but I'm glad they did it here. But yeah, it was good that they took out at least one of the main 3. And Dewey gets a really respectable death. Like when he's getting killed or whatever, he's pretty much smiling at it, like kind of laughing about it, really, like on his face. But it's a really epic death. And after he gets killed, of course, the killer goes, "It's an honor," because he's survived so many movies. Really epic death, really respectful to the Dewey character here. And the deputy Judy or whatever, who's the sheriff now, which I thought was kind of cool. She gets killed. You get this kind of cool scene where the killer's going to attack her son and is in her house, and he makes it seem like he's going to go get her in the shower or get him in the shower, and it's just a lure to get her back there. And he stabs her as she enters the house, and then he stabs him like through the side of the neck. And you get to see it like go all the way through his neck and pulled back out. This is probably one of the more brutal screams. It's not as brutal, I don't think, as Scream 4, maybe. I don't know. It'd be close with Scream 4. I think Scream 4 is slightly more brutal than this one, but this is right up there. This has got to be like maybe the second most brutal Scream after Scream 4. But yeah, the kills are all pretty good stabbings and stuff. You get to the end of the movie and it's a climax at another party, similar to part 1. And they're watching like Stab 1 or whatever on TV, and they're reenacting scenes from the original Scream to be really fun and meta. And they got like the new Jamie Kennedy replacement character sitting there going, "Behind you," while she's watching like them reenact the scenes from the original Scream and Stab 1 on TV, while the Jamie Kennedy fake character in Stab 1 is going, "Behind you," and they're saying it at the same time. It's a little too much, a little corny there. And of course hold on a minute, I'm sorry about this. Had to turn my light on there and fix it. Whenever I do videos out here in this vehicle, they usually go over long, and sometimes I gotta turning my light on because I leave my vehicle door open to do the reviews. And yes, it's really snowy out here. But yeah, once you get to the ending, that's revealed that the killer is pretty much this girl Amber, and then the other killer is the main girl's like boyfriend or whatever, the older sister's boyfriend. And I do kind of like the twist of why they're the killers. At the same time, it is a little corny, but I do kind of like it. They're pretty much super Stab fans of the franchise, and they want to create new material for the movies because the last one sucks so bad. And it's pretty much a commentary on toxic fandom, which I did think was pretty funny on the whole Twitter movement thing with the fans who go crazy and send death threats to actors and directors and stuff. It's pretty funny that they did that. The performances, the girl killer, she does when she actually becomes the killer. She's before that when she's just like a suspect, she's kind of bland. But when she actually becomes the killer, she does good. She's fine. She's kind of fun. The guy though, he's just kind of okay. When they're battling out with him, Nev Campbell really doesn't come into the movie until almost towards the third act, which I thought worked in context of the movie. When her and Gail show up there, they get in a fight with both of them, of course, and everybody's duking it out. The main girl takes out the boy killer by like saying you shouldn't f with the daughter of a serial killer. That's the one rule, the new rule or whatever. And she grabs a knife and like stabs him all to hell in a really brutal kill and through the jaws and everything. That was a great death for him. And then she shoots him like multiple times just to make sure he's dead. I thought that was pretty funny. I will say this: the guy being the killer was kind of predictable. But I do like how the girl killer kind of introduced herself because she just jerks out a gun and starts shooting all at once and just kind of reveals herself without any kind of like unmasking. That was kind of fun in the climax. But yeah, she gets like a sorry about that, but yeah, when she's like attacking Gail and Sydney or whatever, she gets knocked back into the stove and gets set on fire because she's like, "You guys got to pass the torch to the new generation," and they're like, "Okay, you can have it," and they kick her back into the stove and she gets set on fire. And then they shoot her all to hell. And then, of course, later on towards the end of the movie, they're like, the killer always comes back for one last scare, and they think the guy killer is going to get back up, and they shoot him all to hell. But then it's the burned up girl, and she comes behind him. I thought that was pretty funny. And she's running behind him. And then the sister from the beginning of the movie, who was in the hospital, who got attacked at the beginning, the younger sister, she ends up shooting the female killer and killing her. And it gets to the end of the movie, everybody's getting wheeled off and all that, and the girl, the main girl of this one, who the main character, Billy Loomis's daughter, which feels like who they're trying to pass the torch to in this one is for the next two sequels. This is what this movie feels like. It feels like a soft reboot or a requel, like what they're saying and making commentary about in this movie, instead of remakes like Scream 4 did. And this one, they're pretty much, once again, sorry about that cough. But yeah. Yeah, it seems like they're trying to pass the torch to this new girl. She does fine. If they get rid of the whole Billy Loomis ghost thing, I think she could work maybe in another one. But I'm not sure if the fans would want to see one without Nev Campbell and Courtney Cox. I don't know. But it seems like that's what they're setting her up for. But yeah, it ends with her talking to Nev Campbell saying, "You think I'll be all right?" Nev Campbell's like, "In time." And that's pretty much how it ends, with the reporter outside as a callback to the first movie, with her like saying something straight out of a horror movie for the new generation or whatever, which of course is a commentary on how the original one ended, and this being a requel itself. Yeah, it stays a little too close to that first movie, even though it is a requel. It'd be better if they did more of a send up of the whole requel thing instead of actually being a requel themselves. But at the end of the day, they still do a good job, and this is a respectful Scream entry. These directors do a pretty good job overall with this movie. With their directing, I would be fine with them handling a Scream 6 and 7. If that's what we get, which I'm sure we're going to get at least one more. But if we get a Scream 6 and 7, I would be totally fine with it if it was these same directors. They do a good job. And at the end, it says 4 West. Yeah, all in all, 3 out of 4. I liked it. It's a good time. It's a good movie, a good entry in the franchise. Where would I place it? Like, again, with the rankings, I'd go 1, 4. Then this one, 1, 4, 5 would be my top 3. And then I would go 3 and then 2. That's what, personally for me, that's what I would do. But honestly, I don't hate any of these Scream movies. I think 1 and 4 are great, and then the other ones I think are all good sequels. So, yeah. All in all, thank you guys for watching, and if you haven't seen the Scream movie, I suggest going to see it, and it's a good time. So, see you guys in the next video.